Hi everyone, today I'm going to be doing my speech about telling a story. Here are my note cards, my one note card for the speech. Okay, you ready? At every point in our lives, we all have something new to learn, no matter your age, race, or background. All throughout life, we have new lessons and new things to see. This is what I feel most people think life consists of. Life consists of adapting, learning, and growing. That is why today I want to talk about a story my mother once read to me as a child. A story about growing and learning the importance of sharing. There are also some deeper concepts, but I'll get into that later. The book is called Rainbow Fish by Marcus Pfister. Within the narrative, we learn of the main character, Rainbow Fish, who is beautifully covered in red, blue, green, purple, and silver shining scales interwoven between the others. Then he is asked to share one silver scale with a small blue fish, and he crudely refuses. After this, all the other fish in the sea refuse to play with him and ignore him. The rainbow fish wondered why he had no friends and went to the wise octopus for some advice. The wise octopus then told him to give away his scales, which at first he does reluctantly, but he does gain joy from it. Eventually, by the end of the book, he has given away all his shiny scales except for one, and because of this, he has gained new friends. Also, due to his new friends, he is now the happiest fish in the sea instead of the most beautiful fish in the sea. At first, any reader would notice that the rainbow fish was very selfish due to his vain character over his prized shimmering scales. The character was so full of pride and conceitedness over his physical appearance and possessions. The story then leads into how lonely he felt. A quote from the book itself states, "What good were dazzling, shimmering scales with no one to admire them?" This relates to belonging and happiness, which is something the rainbow fish was lacking due to his choice to not share with the other fish. I think many people, just like you and I, have our own stories of feeling unhappy or feeling like we don't belong, but we can learn from the rainbow fish and use it to change the scenario. Learning that looks are not as important as happiness. At the same time, this concept can evolve into a much deeper idea, in which is the consideration of happiness of all reasonable to the cost of one's own happiness? This leads into the core notion of basic utilitarianism. Another way to describe utilitarianism is a philosophical moral theory in which the greatest good for the greatest number, otherwise stating the happiness of the group should outweigh that of the individual. The story of the rainbow fish reflects this precisely when he decided to give away his superficial objects, being the scales, to the rest of the fish for their happiness, even though it took away from his own at first. This lesson teaches us about sharing and giving up things that you enjoy for the sake of others. At this point in the story, it reminded me of a Bible verse about the very same concept. In Mark 12:41 through 44, people were giving Jesus offerings. Many of the rich people gave him a very large amount of money, while one poor widow only gave him 2 copper coins. The rich people teased and belittled her, just as the fish ignored the rainbow fish. It was not until Jesus told them that she had put in more than the others because she gave her complete wealth, while they only gave a portion of their wealth. This is very relatable to how the fish then accepted the rainbow fish with open fins as soon as he began to share his wealth of the scales. Now granted, I do understand that comparing these two narratives is not quite exact, but the concept behind the story and the knowledge we gain from it are nearly the same. At the end of our journey, we feel the rainbow fish has done right. We saw how he was once very vain and very prideful, which caused him to be unhappy. Then we learned how to adapt from the situation by talking to others like the octopus and sharing his scales with other fish, just as one would share with their friends in the real world. By this, we learned that sharing, you can make others happy, which in turn makes the group happy, in consideration of putting the group above yourself. in the lesson I think we should all take from this wonderful story. Before I leave you today, I want to leave you with one question. In the end, do you feel if you were the rainbow fish, his decision to share his scales was worth it? I hope everyone has a really good day. See you guys.